absolutely adore this song. I had so much fun making it, and throughout the whole entire process, I kept trying to think of ways to add in like double meaning to it, like double entendre. Like how can we layer things in the lyrics, things in the production, in the video to make it as interesting and cohesive as possible to be able to tell this like 360 story world that we're creating. So I'm very excited to show you guys how the production came along. Cue the intro. Oh!
Dinner parties and a cotton candy dress, cream puff pastries and the game of chess.
Alrighty, here is the production session for dinner parties. As you can see, I got very excited about the color scheme. I did everything in pinks and purples. I thought it was so fitting. And this song was actually the process of it was most similar to how I did When I Fall in Love. If you guys remember with that song, I asked Victor, who does all of my live guitar and live bass, I asked him to record some guitar tracks to just a very basic demo of piano and vocals only, so that I could then produce the rest of the song around his guitar and bass, because I wanted that kind of to carry the groove of the song. And I had the same idea here with dinner parties. So this version actually already has all of Victor's right here. Live guitar and live bass. As you can see, I cut it up a little bit based on what he sent me. But what I sent to Victor was just a single vocal track with like a one take, like you can see right here, just a one take of me going through the song, just so I kind of have an idea of what's happening, and then these piano chords.
Dinner party.
It was just this.
And a cotton candy dress, cream puff pastry.
So this is what I sent to Victor. I ended up not using these piano chords at all in the final production, and he came back with some guitar tracks. I gave him some references on the kind of like the groove that I wanted, and he when you do guitar, very often you'll do left and right. One is panned all the way to the left, one is all the way to the right, and they're both identical. It just creates more room when you have that in the track.
Dinner party.
This is the basic.
And a cotton candy dress, cream puff pastry.
And this already changed the character of the song. You can already hear it compared to how it was before with the piano. It's already a lot more energetic. There's a lot more drive to it. He also added some other like layers of guitar, like this one right here, which is just for texture. So just like running in the background, and then one more chords with electric guitar paired with his acoustic guitar and with his live bass. So this was our like bare bones. And initially, when I was first talking to Victor, my idea for this song was to basically just have these guitars, and that was it. Or at least in the verse, like keep it relatively sparse. And then maybe layer things on throughout the song, but relatively minimal. But I should have known better. I am pretty much allergic to minimalism, I think, in life, in music, in production. So I should have anticipated that I was not going to keep it like that, because as soon as I started working on this production, I was like, oh, it feels a little empty. I want to do something spicy with it. Like I always like to, and maybe it's because I love Tchaikovsky and all of these like very lush kinds of music, or even like with cinematic music, or like ABBA. Those are all musicians or styles of music that are very layered, like kind of creating these walls of sound and having multiple counter melodies. So that's something that I tend to gravitate towards as well. So I was like, just guitar, cool, but like not my vibe. Let's make it more spicy. So the first thing I added was this little piano loop.
Dinner party.
I was like, okay, this gives us a little bit of extra movement compared to what the guitar is doing. Cool. And then when I had this one, I started thinking about the 1975. They always do like an intro song to all of their albums. And one in particular I've been obsessing over, which is from their latest album, Being Funny in a Foreign Language. And that intro song feels so chaotic, like orderly chaos. It feels like this massive cacophony of sound. It uses all of these instruments that you normally associate with very tactful music, like classical music. It does like strings and so like cellos, violins, and piano, like things that you don't necessarily associate with chaos. But the way that that intro song is composed and the way that they recorded it, it feels very messy, like a lot of things like kind of interjecting with one another in like not a preset order. So it feels very overwhelming and chaotic, like a cacophony, really. I think that's the best word for it. And I was like, wait, what if to continue this double meaning of our dinner parties of hiding or strategically hiding strength behind softness, what if we add something that feels like things are bubbling under the surface? Like it's orderly, but it's not. Like it's just a little bit off. And so that's what this first piano loop does. And I added another loop to it that offsets the rhythm of the first one. So this one is like dotted eighth notes. The other one is just straight up eighth notes. I was like, okay, interesting. Let's do more. What about this? So this is like another counter melody to the first, or the same melody, but like different, the same rhythm, different melody right here. So same rhythm as this first loop, but slightly different melody, so like different notes with this third one. And this already felt like I did a lot of like second intervals in as I was playing the piano, so it creates this slight dissonance that the guitar doesn't necessarily have. The guitar was very composed, very soft, very gentle, very straightforward. This one creates tension. The piano, it's like a little bit off, it's a little bit dissonant, and it feels like something's just like happening in the background. And I was like, okay, cool, let's make it even more messy. So I was like, how do I make this messier? Which is, I did a lot of things here that I don't normally do, like placing all of these random fills, piano fills, in like kind of strange places, like on off beats that feel a little bit odd. So first one was this little fill, which is basically just me doing like piano arpeggios. This is just chord arpeggios. And what was interesting here is I kept doing the same chord. At first I thought that I was gonna have to match the chord to whatever chord the melody is on at that point, but it actually sounded better and more messy if it was always the same chord. And it's like in this really, really random place where it's like almost hard to anticipate where it's gonna come in. And then I was like, okay, let's do more. Then I was on a roll. I was like, let's do more crazy weird fills. This one, I love this one. These two kind of like play off of each other. So this is a high one. This one was an ascending arpeggio. This is kind of like a descending melody. So they go like this. Do you hear how it's like so messy and disorderly? And it alludes to this like tension. So weird. And I purposely left them messy. I didn't, like this one especially, I didn't, both of these two, they're not quantized, which or they are, but like I placed them in ways that are like, that don't feel quantized. That's what I'm going to say. Like I didn't go further and edit them in, but they're like placed in like these odd beats that feel messy and they feel like they're played live. And this one right here is already the next fill, which I added in. One comes from the right and one comes from the left. So that's like an extra kind of like, this is like my calm melody, these two, the piano fills. These guys are my messy melodies. And I spent a lot of time on this because this ended up being like the main groove of the song that carries through even through the pre-chorus, through the majority of the song. This is the groove. And so here's all the piano parts together. I love how messy it is. It feels like someone playing it live. So this was like, once I had this, I was like, okay, I'm on a roll. Like this is what kind of ended up defining the song in a way, because I was really unsure where to take it with this guitar, because I was like, okay, I could leave it like that, but I could add more things to it. And I was very unsure what that more could be. And so once I had to this, I was like, okay. This feels like it sounds good, but it also is telling a story. You know, it's not just cool sounds for the sake of them being cool, but they help contribute to the general meaning of the song. And now I'm going to the pre-chorus, which is where I made a relatively unusual decision for me, where I carried over the groove. I tend to separate sections. Usually if I'll have a verse v1 style, I kind of do either a breakdown or like you start using different instruments in the pre-chorus. Like a good example of that would be Louvre. Louvre does like a big shift between verse and pre-chorus. And then the chorus, I will go back to the original groove. Here, I change it where verse and pre are one groove, and then it changes and gets a completely different complexion in the chorus. That's kind of what Timekeeper's Secret does as well. So the verses are like a groove of one thing, chorus changes it completely. So here, we continue the groove. So all the piano parts from before actually stay exactly the same. Even though the chord progression changes here, slightly, I kept these piano parts exactly the same. I thought it was really interesting to keep that going and have the melody kind of float above it, the vocal melody. So one thing that I add here was, yes, wait, I'll do this later. I just remember what this is. I've done this a while ago, so I don't necessarily know exactly what everything is right away. So this one is a long dissonant synth pad. You can hear it here. And I went in manually and did a long crescendo for it. So it's like tension rising. It's kind of similar to what I did in Timekeeper's Secret. So like a very, very intensely distorted synth that feels really rough on its own, and it's like this growing, bubbling tension, also hinting at like this softness. Strength is kind of the softness, and another sort of distorted, like a whole pad, synth pad, to go along with it. So this one is just a single note. I'll close this. This one is a single note. This is a whole chord. So it's just the tonic chord, the D flat major chord, held throughout the whole thing. And there's two more things that rise with that. There's one, it's like a twinkling quick arpeggio. Let me go to the part where it actually starts getting louder, right here. Again, just the D flat major, you don't change the chord, you keep the same chord over the changing chord progression underneath in the guitar. And that's like one of my favorite things to do, is like whenever I need to create some more harmonic interest, I always tend to go for like a synth arpeggio or some sort of arpeggio that repeats the same chord as the rest of the production kind of shifts. And I think it's really cool because then it creates a different interval. The relationship between that original chord arpeggio and the progression underneath it changes with each new chord, and it creates like slightly different harmonic textures, which is why I love doing that. But here I tried something different where I kept that original arpeggio. And then I did almost like a mirror version of this arpeggio. I used a different sound, but I used the same four notes, but the exact same four, but they're now, one of them is descending, one of them is ascending, and it creates this like really interesting play between the two chords. Like the notes don't change, just the order of them changes. It almost feels like it's consistently rising in pitch, even though it's not, because of the way that the frequencies play off of one another. I thought it was really cool. So that's my pre-chorus. And then I added just a couple more things here to add some groove to the pre-chorus to kind of strengthen that doom, 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 doom that we have in the verse. And that is just some pizzicato strings, along with cello. And these are all MIDI strings. Like as you guys know, most of the time I use a combination of live strings and MIDI strings, because especially pizzicato sounds so good when you use the MIDI one. It's like very tight and compressed and very poppy, and I love using that for these songs. So these are kept exactly the same as I play them, while some of the sustained strings are recorded live, but this one specifically stays the same it is. And then the glissando. I wanted to do another, like a little odd sounding, dissonant sounding melody in here, like an accent, to again bring in some of that tension, that disorderly order in a way. And then we also have, we have this one glissando string going up to, and then a descending string that goes up, that takes a different rhythm. So it's descending and boom, boom, with this. And then with our synth. Yeah, there we go. So that's our pre-chorus. We continue everything from before. We add all of these elements, and then at the very end of the chorus, we also add a little riser right at the end. Where is it? That takes us to our chorus, which I love. I was so happy when this came together. I was like, yes, this is so cool. Because originally, the chorus was just the guitar. I thought I was going to do like a big riser into the chorus and have literally just be this. Right here, or is it? Just that. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's fine, but I want it to be spicier. Like, there's nothing interesting going on in the production. It's not like the production isn't adding any storytelling. It's just guitars, drums, and I felt like it needed more. And so that's when I started playing around with just like really, really fast arpeggios. And I think this idea came from me starting to play around with the harp. And whenever I use the harp, I tend to just like do really fast arpeggios on it. Like that's like my go-to, or like any sort of arpeggiated thing to do with the harp, because I think it works really well for those kind of functions. But here, as I was playing around with it, I was like, wait, that might be cool if I do it in the piano. So it's this really, really fast, very like wide ranging, like spans basically like 4, almost 5 octaves, this arpeggio. And as it was originally, this piano sounded, or is it like this? So like a very straightforward piano. And then I was like, got to this middle part arpeggio, this part right here that's gonna come up. Because that's when I was like, oh wait, it'd be cool if I do like a different rhythm in the arpeggio. And when I was playing that, it reminded me so much of the intro music to Westworld, the TV show. And I am obsessed with that intro song. It's incredible. It's perfect. It's like, everything about it is perfect. The rhythm of this reminded me of that, because that like song kind of switches between like a triplet feel and a 4/4 feel. And I was like, wait, what if I kind of try and like tweak the sound of this to make it sound more like the piano in the Westworld theme song? So I went from this to a little bit of an EQ. I did like a megaphone EQ on it, and it becomes this, which sounds so much closer to that Westworld piano. And then I was like, okay, love that. Let's add another element to it. Like I wanted it to move around in pitch a little bit more, because with the piano, it's very straightforward. So I found this synth that kind of adds a little bit of like a fall, like a little, like a swirl at the end of each pitch. You'll see what I'm talking about. See how it's swirly? And then I also added a ring shifter to it so that it kind of like moves around a little bit more, like snakes around. So it does the same exact melody as the piano, but all of a sudden adding this into it adds another layer, adds more harmonic interest, and makes it sound more pop. And I was like, okay, I love this melody. What if we make these arpeggios like the core counter melody of the chorus? If the verses are dum 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 dum, like that's our main melody there, or like production melody, what if the one in the chorus is this arpeggio? Because I've never done something like that. Like it's very busy, but I thought it really worked because the melody and the vocal is straightforward. A lot of long notes, same word over and over. It doesn't take up too much space, which allows us to create something more interesting, more dense in the production. Then I added one more layer, playing the exact same melody. This one's actually a bass that I took up, I think like where is it? Right here. That I took up an octave, 2 octaves higher than you would normally play bass. And I like this one because it had a little bit of like a temporal element to it, where it's like it begins on like almost like a click, and it almost adds like a slight drum element to it, like to really make this melody more rhythmic. The other two, like the synth and the piano, didn't really have that. Wait, where is it? Right here. This is all 3 of them together with the piano. Where is it? Yeah, from the beginning. And then with the vocal.
It's girlhood.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, so this is cool, but now I need some sort of like a response to it, because there was like an empty space. I was like, I'm missing something there. So I was like, what if we're being like all weird with our influences already, and like everything's kind of like a mishmash of things, what if I do some like big grand ABBA chords, descending chords? Last time I did that was in the July song, and I love doing this. It's like such a easy thing to play because it's literally just a chord going down, like the same chord and the inversions going down. But I played around with the melody a little bit, and I made this. This is 2 pianos playing at the same time. Very ABBA. And now this will be descending notes. This matches the arpeggios. So it's just very, very dense chords, but it adds another layer. It adds like to me, this is like the messy part, the arpeggios. This is like the girly part. So all together with the guitar and bass is. Yeah, so that's how it all came together. You will notice, we didn't really touch on this, but there is a kick in here. The drums in this demo, super straightforward. It's just a 4 on the floor kick. Nothing spicy about it, just to keep time. And then verse 2 is pretty much repeats most of what verse 1 is doing. A lot of the stuff that like builds the verse and pre-chorus are like the vocals, and that's not what I did here in the production session. When I record my vocals, I do it in a different session. So this is just production stuff. The only thing that is slightly different is I think I added in another, right here, like a little pizzicato chords in the violins, which kind of doubles what the piano is doing. So the piano goes up in the end. Da, 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 da. Wait, let me just do this. Dun, 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 dun. In that same part, the strings here are gonna go down. You hear how it's descending and the piano is ascending, so that creates again a little bit of a tension, a little bit more interest in the second verse. And I think I added one more synth right here that matches the melody. Remember a few minutes ago when we were talking about the violins in the pre, and I was showing you the down, down, down. There's like this one right here. Right here. So I added something similar to that in the second verse, with a different synth that I end up using in the bridge of the song as well. So it's the same rhythm, but slightly different synth, just to add a little bit of. And then the only extra thing in this pre-chorus is there is some strings, and these in the final version of the song are recorded live, is just strings that match the vocal melody. It's a relic of her history. It's a butter knife with a dagger's blade, a sophisticated masquerade. So it's just doubling the lead vocal melody. Chorus, again, add some extra elements to it just to make it a little bit more full, but the majority of it is just I added more different pianos playing da-dum, 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 da-dum in the ABBA chords, and I added some extra synths that play the main arpeggio in the piano, but nothing like no brand new element gets introduced. Oh wait, no, one does. I forgot. Oh my god, you guys. I forgot this. There's some sustained strings that play the lead vocal melody. And these were also recorded live in the final version. Girlhood, it's girlhood. Chords. Girlhood. So like with harmony. So that's what's happening. That's another thing that gets added in the second chorus. So the first chorus is a little bit more choppy, a little bit more stripped down. Second chorus, we're already building it and we're getting ready for the bridge. The bridge is where a lot of the stuff changes and we get some new grooves in. One thing is that little synth arpeggio from the pre-chorus gets front and center now. This is louder now. We have, shut up. We have a synth lead to offset the fast. This is the same synth that plays this in the chorus. But in the bridge, we give it a different melody. What else do we have? I honestly forgot a lot about this. This is a piano matching the synth. We have just some regular synth pads playing chords, just to give us harmonic texture. We have pizzicato strings keeping time. And a lot of these are actually kept from the verse. A lot of this is just copy pasted from the verse. And again, this little cello, you'll see stays true to my love for single chord over a changing production. or changing harmonic progression, because it creates different relationships between the pregio and the other chords. This one, wait, I don't even remember what this is. So this is the same sort of offsetting loop as what we have here in the verse. But here we have slightly different sound of the piano. And again, another piano loop. This is the same one as what we have in the verse. We add in the arpeggios. We add fast synths, slow synth. We add some chords for texture, synths for texture. I should probably talk about that one. Dum, 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 dum. This one right here. Yes. This is like a super high-pitched, sparkly synth that adds some of those high frequencies and adds like another different rhythmical subdivision. So some of these are doing 8th notes, some are doing 16th notes. This is sort of like a quarter note, basically. And the last element are some pizzicato, or not spiccato, string fills. Some of them match the vocal melodies, some of them do like little fills, and I love doing this in the bridge to kind of like create more tension. The secret is safe, like pearls in a shell, the feminine urge to decorate hell. Another fill that matches before. This one will now match the vocal melody. There's rubies and pearls and towers of two. There's nothing more lethal than a beautiful little. And then we'll have a fill. There you go. That is our bridge. And then we go to perhaps my favorite part of the song, which is our outro or last chorus. This last chorus, I wanted to completely shift the vibe and do like a super delicate, soft, gentle, like lilies on the pond chorus, kind of recontextualizing girlhood and kind of being like, yes, toughness, like a strategic softness. And then you kind of like, you open up the cover of what's behind and you you show the true meaning behind this facade, and then you kind of close the curtain and you're back into this pretend world of softness and gentleness. And that's what I think this last chorus is. Super soft, delicate, fairies, ladies, very ladylike. So this one changes a lot in like what the chorus is. We have none of the fast arpeggios that we had before. It's just some really nice, delicate pizzicatos. We have some strings that kind of create texture. Instead of the synths, we now have strings playing harmonies. A different melody to it. And the cello. And these were all recorded live in the final version. And one more violins melody that kind of matches the vocal melody. And then the last thing we have is a little bit of a harp. Some violin trills. Where are they? Right here. Tremolo. And then we go into our big dramatic outro. This outro, if you haven't recognized it before, is from the theme from the Swan Lake Ballet by Tchaikovsky. And this is one of my most favorite melodies. I love Tchaikovsky in general, but this melody, I love it because it's so unusual and so mysterious. And I thought I wanted to include this, like an interpolation of the Swan Lake melody in my 12 months project. Like that was one of the songs, the classical songs that I was like, oh, I wish I could use this, but it just didn't fit with any of the month themes. And here, one night I was playing around on the piano and I was like, wait a second, what if we do that? Because the whole story of what happens during the song and the ballet is like Odette and Odile. You have black swan, white swan, you have gentleness, you have strength. And I was like, wow, okay, it has like that double meaning and it fits perfectly with the song. So in the very end of the song, so it goes from like this delicate, soft, and then it's like something nefarious, darker, more sort of not evil, but mysterious, hiding underneath the surface that kind of like bubbles up at the end of the song. Like it feels like it's been trying to come out this entire song. You finish in this like you start in this like really fun, whimsical major key, and everything's like bubbly and cute, and then you get towards the end and it gets like really dark and much more intense, and we shift from D flat major to B flat minor, the relative minor key, and we finish in that minor key, which feels surprising and unusual. It shifts from this like bright sunny song, especially here, it feels like fairies, enchanted forest, all of that. Finish, wait, and all of a sudden we're in B flat minor right here. Ending on a B flat minor chord. And I love that little crescendo at the end. It almost feels like a warning, like beware. It's like something that was, I guess, covert the entire song becomes overt at the end, which I was really excited when that came together. I was like, yeah, that feels like the last like bow on top of this entire song, and its meaning is finishing it in this like minor, almost like haunting key that almost feels like a warning, you know? And the rhythm here, or not rhythm, the speed here changes as well. You'll see it. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Right here, you can see it, that it actually changes tempo 2 times at the end. It goes from, the original is 109 beats per minute to 94 to 79 as you climb through that swan lake melody. Right here, and you slow down. And slow down even more in the last part. I love that. I love this ending. It's dramatic. What did I do? It's dramatic. It's unexpected. It feels like it changes things in the song. I love it. And I think it like just further emphasizes the true meaning of the song. Like if the message didn't come through the song, it definitely does there at the end. But yeah, that's Dinner Parties. I'm very excited about this song. I love it very, very much. It's very, very dear to me, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. And please let me know if you guys are surviving with this format, and drop your comments, questions, thoughts, ideas below. All right, bye.